The ion storm hit Outpost Meridian like the fist of an angry god. Mira clutched her thermal mug as the cabin walls groaned under electromagnetic pressure, the lights flickering in rhythm with thunder that crackled purple across the moon's rusty sky. She'd weathered 17 storms in her 2 years here, alone except for the mining drones and her collection of rescued circuit boards. Tonight felt different. The pounding on her door made her jump, hot tea splashing across her work console. Through the reinforced viewport, she saw nothing but swirling crimson dust and arcing energy. The pounding came again, desperate, arrhythmic. Not the steady hammer of wind-blown debris. Against every survival protocol screaming in her head, Mira engaged the door lock. The hydraulics hissed, and something massive fell across her threshold. He was enormous, easily 7 feet of corded muscle wrapped in shredded armor that sparked and leaked phosphorescent fluid. His skin bore a faint blue luminescence beneath grime and blood, and his face, though undeniably alien with its sharp angles and ridge of crystalline formations along the brow, held an expression she recognized instantly: terror. "Take me to your bed," he gasped in heavily accented standard, one clawed hand reaching for her ankle. "You must hide me. Please." Myra's engineering mind cataloged details automatically: military-grade armor, Kael'Vex insignia, multiple puncture wounds, and a cylindrical device clutched against his chest that pulsed with urgent red light. Behind him, through the closing door, she glimpsed shadows moving through the storm, methodical, searching. "Are they tracking you?" she whispered. He nodded, strength already fading. "Thermal scans. They'll sweep every structure. Your bed, thermal blankets, will mask my signature if," he coughed, blue blood speckling her floor. "If you hide me beneath human heat." The logical part of her brain screamed that sheltering a fugitive alien soldier during what was clearly a military operation would end her career, possibly her life. But Mira had spent too long alone, fixing broken things, to turn away someone, this damaged. "Can you walk?" She grabbed his arm, surprised by how cold his skin felt. "My quarters are in back. Move now, or we're both dead." As she hauled him to his feet, the scanning beams began probing through her windows, and Mira realized she'd just gambled everything on a stranger's desperate plea. Myra's sleeping quarters were barely large enough for one human, let alone a wounded alien warrior whose shoulders nearly touched both walls. She swept her collection of data tablets off the mattress with one arm while supporting his weight with the other, his blood leaving luminescent trails across her floor like some grotesque art installation. The blankets, he insisted through gritted teeth, his teeth, she noticed, were surprisingly flat. Cascade configuration. "They must read you sleeping naturally." She yanked the thermal regulating blankets from their storage hooks. Standard Frontier issue, designed to maintain perfect body temperature in the moon's extreme conditions while presenting a normal heat signature to orbital monitoring systems. Privacy measures for isolated workers. She'd never imagined using them to hide alien soldiers. "How do you know about human thermal blankets?" she demanded, spreading the first layer across the narrow bed. "Intelligence briefing. Your species, fascinating insulation technology." He collapsed onto the mattress with a grunt that sounded painful in any language. Up close, she could see his wounds were severe, 3 deep punctures in his side leaked steadily, and the crystalline ridge above his eye was cracked, fragments hanging loose. "You're going to die if I don't treat those," Mira said, already pulling her emergency medical kit from under the sink. "They'll detect active medical equipment. Electromagnetic signature." His hand shot out, surprisingly quick, and caught her wrist. His palm was textured like fine-grained sandpaper. "Hide first. Heal after. If they find me, who are they?" "SE Qatar Death Squad. I witnessed." He clutched the glowing cylinder tighter. "This contains proof of false flag operation. They plan to make it look like your military attacked Kael'Vex colony ships. Provoke war between our peoples." Myra's blood went cold. Earth and the Kael'Vex sovereignty had maintained tense peace for 15 years, but it was the kind of peace held together by fear of mutual destruction. One spark could ignite catastrophe for billions. The scanner beams intensified outside, sweeping methodically toward her cabin. She made a decision she'd probably regret. Move over. His eyes, triple-irised and impossibly gold, widened. What? If they're scanning for life signs, they'll see one human sleeping or one human with a suspicious void beside her. They need to see one human sleeping naturally. That means... She kicked off her boots. You shut up about the blood loss, and I get in there with you. Understanding and something like respect crossed his alien features as Mira crawled into the narrow bed, pulling the thermal blankets over both of them, hoping the storm outside would last long enough to save them both. Darkness beneath the thermal blankets was absolute and suffocating. Mira could feel the alien warriors breathing, shallow and rapid against her back, each exhale warm against her neck. The blankets' environmental systems hummed softly, working overtime to regulate their combined body heat into one seamless, human normal signature. Your name, she whispered, barely audible. If I'm hiding you, I should know it. A pause. Then, Kalesun Thrace. Strike Commander, Sovereignty Intelligence. You? Mira Chen. Just an engineer who fixes mining drones. She felt him shift, probably trying to keep blood off her. Bit out of my depth here. You're doing well. Better than my own people would. Pain laced his voice. They'd have shot me on sight for bringing trouble to their door. Through the blankets, Mira heard her cabin door override engage, the emergency access code that security forces carried. Her heart hammered. The thermal blankets would mask their heat, but any irregular movement would betray them. Heavy footsteps. Multiple beings. A voice speaking in harsh, clicking syllables, Sekatar dialect, her translator chip rendering it as, empty. Like the others. Another voice, thermal scan shows human. One occupant, sleeping. Matches registry. Mira forced her breathing into slow, sleep-like rhythm. Beside her, Thrace had gone absolutely still, the kind of stillness only predators and soldiers knew. She felt the cylinder he carried pressed between them, its glow dim through his clenched fist but pulsing urgently like a second heartbeat. Check the corners. He's wounded, may have masked himself with dead field tech. Footsteps approached the bedroom. Through the thin wall, she heard equipment beeping, scanners sweeping. One was standing right outside the privacy curtain. Mira could hear its breathing, wet, rattling. The curtain rings clinked as something pushed the fabric aside. She felt Thrace's hand find hers beneath the blankets, his textured palm somehow reassuring. Whether he was steadying her or himself, she couldn't tell. The scanner's whine pitched higher, directly over the bed. Mira's mind raced through scenarios. If they pulled back the blankets, should she pretend to wake surprised? Claim ignorance? Try to fight? That last option was laughable. She was an engineer, not a soldier. Human vital signs normal. REM cycle brain activity. She's asleep. The scanner withdrew. Moving to next sector. Finish the grid. He couldn't have gone far with those injuries. Commander wants him dead and that data core destroyed before dawn. The voices retreated. Her door sealed shut with its magnetic clunk. Mira released a breath she hadn't known she was holding. Beside her, Thrace's grip on her hand tightened briefly, a gesture of thanks, before releasing. They'll be back, he murmured. When they finish their grid and find nothing, they'll start questioning residents. You need plausible deniability. Bit late for that. Your blood's all over my floor. Mira threw back the blankets, grateful for cooler air. And you're still dying. So let's deal with the immediate problem before we worry about. Her words died as she saw his face in the restored light. He'd gone pale blue, the luminescence fading. His wounds had soaked through her mattress. Right, she said, grabbing her medical kit with renewed determination. Engineer fixing broken things. That's all this is. Just another repair job. But as she began treating his wounds with trembling hands, Mira knew she was lying to herself. This was so much bigger than a repair job. This was choosing sides in a war that hadn't started yet. Myra's hands worked automatically, her engineering precision serving her well as she cleaned Thrace's wounds with antiseptic foam. The punctures were deep, through muscle and what she assumed were alien equivalents of vital organs. Blue blood oozed steadily, refusing to clot properly. Your coagulant system is different, she muttered, applying pressure with sterile pads. These need cauterization or you'll bleed out within the hour. Use my armor. Thrace gestured weakly to the shredded pieces he'd shed. Power cell in the left shoulder assembly. Can generate enough heat. She found it, a compact energy cell still flickering with charge. Within minutes, she'd jury-rigged it to her soldering iron, creating a crude but functional cauterization tool. The smell of burning alien flesh filled her small cabin, acrid and sharp. Tell me about the false flag operation, she said, partly to distract him as she worked, partly because she needed to understand what she was risking everything for. Why would the Essecatar want war? Thrace gritted his teeth as she sealed the second wound. The sovereignty isn't monolithic. Essecatar faction believes humanity's expansion threatens our colonies. They're not wrong, but starting war isn't the answer. He clutched the data cylinder like a lifeline. This contains communications between Essecatar commanders and rogue elements in your own military. Coordinated attack on Kaelvex refugee ship scheduled for 3 days from now. Both sides blame each other. War becomes inevitable. Myra's hands stilled. Our military is involved. Small faction. War profiteers exist in every species. His gold eyes met hers. That's why I had to reach neutral ground, someone outside both chains of command. You frontier engineers, you report directly to colonial administration, not military command. If you verify this data and send it through proper channels, they'll know it came from my outpost. I'll be interrogated, probably imprisoned. She resumed working, sealing the third wound with grim determination. Everyone I know will think I'm a traitor or a fool. Yes. His honesty was almost refreshing. I'm sorry. You weren't supposed to be part of this. My extraction failed. My team is dead. You were the nearest shelter and I was out of options. He managed a pained expression that might have been apologetic. For what it's worth, you have better medical instincts than most field surgeons I've known. Just engineering. Find the damage, repair the system. She finished the last cauterization and began applying synthetic skin patches from her kit, designed for human lacerations but seemingly working on Kaelvex physiology. All done. You'll survive, assuming those death squads don't come back. Thrace pushed himself upright slowly, testing his mobility. The wounds had stopped bleeding, sealed beneath the patches. Thank you. Truly. He examined the data cylinder, its pulsing now steady rather than urgent. We have perhaps 4 hours until dawn. They'll tighten the search perimeter then. I need to reach the communications array at the mining hub, it's the only transmitter powerful enough to punch through the storm interference. That's on the other side of the settlement. Through at least 3 security checkpoints. Mira calculated angles and possibilities. You'll never make it in your condition. I have to try. Too many lives depend on. Or, she interrupted, an idea forming, we don't go to the array. We bring the array to us. His head tilted, curious. Explain. Mira pulled up her work console, fingers flying across the interface. I maintain the mining drones. They use autonomous networking protocols, each unit can relay signals to the next in a mesh network. If I reconfigure their transmission parameters and boost their signal strength, we could create a makeshift relay chain right here, powerful enough to reach orbital platforms. Understanding dawned in his alien features. Brilliant. But won't that draw attention? During an ion storm? Everyone will think it's just equipment glitching from electromagnetic interference. She was already pulling up drone access codes. Give me 2 hours and one extremely illegal modification to company property. Thrace's expression shifted to something almost like a smile. You know, Engineer Chen, you're remarkably good at this for someone who claims to just fix mining drones. Yeah, well. Mira cracked her knuckles and got to work. I'm having a very weird night. The mining drones formed a glittering chain across the settlement, their positioning seemingly random to casual observation but precisely calculated to create a powerful transmission relay. Mira watched her console as the network synchronized, each unit linking to the next, building toward critical mass. Signal strength at 65%, she reported, sweat beading her forehead despite the cabin's climate control. Not quite enough to punch through the storm interference. Thrace stood beside her, still unsteady but functional, the data cylinder now connected to her console via an adapter she'd fabricated from spare parts. We're running out of time. Dawn in 40 minutes. Can you boost it further? If I overclock the primary relay, she hesitated, doing rapid calculations. It'll burn out the central drone completely. Probably explode. That'll definitely draw attention. Better attention than total war. His hand rested gently on her shoulder. Do it. She initiated the overclock sequence. The primary drone's signal spiked, the network flaring bright on her sensors. Transmission strength climbed, 70%, 80, 90. Outside, an explosion lit the pre-dawn darkness. The primary drone had detonated in a shower of sparks and molten metal. Transmission successful. Myra's screen showed data packets flooding outward, bouncing through the relay network to orbital platforms, colonial administration servers, and sovereignty diplomatic channels simultaneously. They're getting it. Both sides. Thrace exhaled, the tension draining from his frame. It's done. Almost immediately, her comm panel erupted with incoming calls. Security codes. Military overrides. Even a priority flag from Colonial Administration HQ. The explosion had indeed drawn attention. They'll be here in minutes, Mira said, surprisingly calm. Security will want answers. So will your people and mine. Tell them the truth. Thrace moved toward her door, then paused. Or tell them I forced you. Took you hostage. I can disappear before they arrive, vanish into the wastes. You'll be protected. Mira considered it for maybe 5 seconds. Then she shook her head. No. We did this together. Besides, someone needs to verify your identity, confirm the data's authenticity. I'm not taking credit or blame alone. He studied her with those impossible gold eyes. You're either very brave or very foolish, Engineer Chen. Probably both. She heard vehicles approaching, security teams scrambling to respond to the explosion. For what it's worth, Commander Thrace, I'm glad you knocked on my door. Even if I lose everything for it. You won't lose everything. His voice held certainty. What you've done tonight, preventing war, saving countless lives, they'll call you a hero eventually. Both our peoples will. Or a traitor who harbored an enemy agent. She managed a tired smile. Guess we'll find out. The vehicles stopped outside. Authoritative pounding on her door, much more official than Thrace's desperate hammering hours earlier. She moved to answer it, then felt his textured hand catch hers briefly. Thank you, he said simply. For seeing someone who needed help instead of an alien soldier. For choosing to trust. Thank you for trusting me with the truth. Mira squeezed his hand once, then released it. Now let's go face the consequences together. She opened the door to flashlights, weapons, and shouted demands for explanation. Behind the security team, dawn broke across Outpost Meridian's rust-colored horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. The ion storm had finally passed. As Mira raised her hands in surrender and began explaining the longest night of her life, she caught Thrace's eye. He stood tall despite his injuries, ready to corroborate her story, ready to face whatever came next. She'd saved a stranger. He'd trusted her with truth that could reshape the galaxy. Together, they'd chosen peace over war. The rest, Mira thought as the security team secured them both, would be someone else's problem. Her job, fixing broken things, was done. The end.